everybody. Welcome to our next episode of Best and Worst. This is the series where we like to give you a little taste of our Hidden Gems podcast in this shorter video. And hopefully, if you like this, then you'll go and listen to the longer episode, and we would really appreciate that. And we talk about the best and worst of one of our favorite talents. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Ryan is here.
Hey, Rachel, it's great to be back with you once again doing Best and Worst. And today we're going to be doing the best and worst of one of my personal favorite actors. He's Sir Anthony Hopkins. And talk about a guy that has had such a long and just lengthy career. I feel like I say this a lot, but picking a worst for Anthony Hopkins was so difficult because he has had such just a legacy of quality from like Silence of the Lambs, from The Remains of the Day to Howard's End, even to more of his lighthearted stuff like in Thor Ragnarok and stuff like that. Like Anthony Hopkins is just he's has to be in the greatest of all time conversation.
Yeah, and of course, we wanted to talk about him because he was the winner of the Academy Award for Best Actor this last Oscars, and it was all kind of handled terribly by the Academy. And so we thought, hey, we'll give him his due and
I'm
talk about his
I'm seeing a
movies.
bunch of resentment towards the Academy on film Twitter, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, you guys resent the Academy now? I invite all of you to my unofficial I Hate the Academy Club. We meet bi-monthly.
It was bizarre. It was so strange what they decided to do. I mean, it was really pretty sad, but anyway, he's a great actor, and so we're going to talk about him. And it's hard picking a best because you're right. He has done so many great films. But what did you come up with for your best of Anthony Hopkins?
So picking my best was, like I said, it was so mind-bendingly hard. I could have gone with something as recent as The Father because I think his performance in that was absolutely outstanding. Whether he should have won the Oscar is something I'm not going to confront here. But you could go for any of his Merchant Ivory stuff. But I'm going to go with the one thing that he has been compared to and talked about the most, and that is The Silence of the Lambs. Is this a predictable choice? Yeah, probably. But I mean, he was in a handful of scenes and he stole the entire movie. The literal first scene you see him in, he's just standing there in his cell, perfectly still, like he's just waiting for Clarice Starling to show up, and he's like, "Good morning," and he controls everything, even though he's in this like 6x8 bulletproof cell. He is just like he's just like this with the marionettes, tying them all up in string. And it also helps that The Silence of the Lambs is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. It's such a chilling movie. I actually did a review of it for the AFI project, hashtag cheap plug. So I got to rewatch it recently, and I am shocked at how well that this movie has aged. Like Anthony Hopkins is absolutely the best part of this movie. He absolutely deserved to win the Oscar that year, even though he was in like you could count his scenes on one hand and still have fingers to spare. Like it's an all-time great performance.
Yeah, I've never seen it because I'm a wimp and I'm a scaredy cat. But I've heard that it's really good. And I've heard it's actually not that scary, that it's more
No,
of a thriller.
it's quite mellow, like especially like some of the Saw movies or something else. It's like a Clockwork Orange. It's more implied violence than violence you actually see. There are
Mhm.
some definite like gory moments, but it's like literally like just blips on the radar. Most of it is just implied. But Jonathan Demme made it to where it's just it's left to your own imagination, and that's what makes it even scary.
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people. So I will eventually have to, I think I'll have to make that a blind spot one of these days. But my choice is the total opposite of that, which shows his versatility as an actor. It
Mm.
is the 1993 film Shadowlands, and this is about C.S. Lewis. And this is based on a true story. And I love C.S. Lewis. I love his writings, and he's one of the greatest writers about Christianity that has ever lived. And so he plays C.S. Lewis, and Deborah Winger plays this woman named Joy, who's this American who comes in, and she's very opinionated and very uh, loud, and he's like kind of this scholar, and he doesn't know what to make of this woman, and they end up having a romance, and then certain things happen, and it's very moving and very well done, and their chemistry is really great. And of course, I love Howard's End too. I wanted to pick, if I could pick a tie, I would pick Howard's End because I think he brings so much vulnerability to a character that is very flawed, but you still manage to feel for him. And even though he's done some very bad things, I think it's a great movie. I love the book and I love the movie, but if I had to pick one role, his playing C.S. Lewis, I think is my favorite in Shadowlands.
If you want to start reading C.S. Lewis, I suggest Mere Christianity. It's a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic book. And then go on to the Screw Tape Letters.
Yeah, Screwtape Letters is so fun. Yeah, it's great, and so I really recommend if you haven't seen Shadowlands. It's very moving, very very good. So, what is your worst of Anthony Hopkins?
As far as my worst goes, he's just kind of there in this movie. It's Mission Impossible 2. Anthony Hopkins just has the crime of just being kind of there as the director of the IMF when you have other IMF directors who are either actively involved or play a crucial point in the story. Uh, this is definitely the worst of the Mission Impossible movies. I still enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, but especially considering where Mission Impossible has gone with Ghost Protocol, my favorite and the best one, you heard me, Rogue Nation and Fallout, and just where this series has gone, looking at something like Mission Impossible 2 is a weird little time capsule. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, but it is my worst for Anthony Hopkins. But his only real sin is that he's just kind of there. You could have literally given this role to anyone.
Yeah, I think that movie's okay. It's like a trash action movie. It's not great, but it's not like that bad. I've seen worse.
Yeah.
But I think it's far better than my choice, which is Transformers: The Last Night. Has to
Oh.
be the worst performance of Anthony Hopkins' career. This is a paycheck if I've ever seen it. He is just like he's there, he's fine. Like his character, Sir Edmund Burton, he was and that movie, it was so long and so loud and so ridiculous, and not, I mean, it's trying to be, all of a sudden it's going through time, and then it's King Arthur, and then they're
Transformers fought some
fighting
Nazis.
Nazis, and you're just like, what? There's the little girl and her whole plot, and it's just not great, and it's the worst of Anthony Hopkins in my opinion.
One of my first big videos on my channel of 2021 was rewatching all of the Michael Bay Transformer movies, and this was the last night pronouns. The last night showed to me that Michael Bay has officially stopped caring. Like he just I think he poured his heart and soul into Age of Extinction with the whole subplot of everything involved in there and just completely falling flat. So he's just like, you know what? I think I'd like to go on vacation for a year, so I'll direct number five. Why not? And like you said, Anthony Hopkins is just kind of there. I almost picked this one, but at least he looks like he's having fun, at least, and I can't fault the guy for that. But just, man, talk about you could literally replace him with anyone and just
Yeah.
it would be just fine.
Yep, agreed. There we go. That is our best and worst of Anthony Hopkins. Let us know what your picks would be. We'd love to see in the comments section. It's a lot of fun. If you have suggestions for who you'd like us to talk about for best and worst, please also leave that in the comments. We'd really appreciate it. And Ryan, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. And then there is, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just called Ryan Cam. I'd like to tell you all thank you to those of you who have subscribed. I just crossed 140 subscribers. I'm very excited. I want to get to 150 sometime in the near future. So if you haven't checked me out, please do. This week I'm going to be dropping 3 AFI project videos. I already dropped one today on Monday for In the Heat of the Night. Wednesday I'm going to be dropping one for Forrest Gump. And then on Friday I'll be dropping one for All the President's Men. And then this coming Sunday I'll be dropping my first reaction to the Studio Ghibli film Whisper of the Heart. There's a lot of content coming your way. If you haven't seen it, please, if you haven't seen me and haven't checked me out, please do.
Yeah, y'all should definitely subscribe. It's really fun. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check all of that out. And also check out the Hallmarkies podcast. There's lots of good stuff going on over there. So thanks so much, everybody. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.